chapter 71 from Canto 10. The Lord travels to Indraprastha. This chapter relates how Lord Krishna followed Uddhava's advice and went to Indraprastha, where the Pandavas celebrated his arrival with great festivity. Paragraph. Wise Uddhava, knowing Krishna's inner desire, advised the Lord as follows, quote, by conquering all directions and then performing the Rajasuya sacrifice, King Yudhisthira will fulfill all his purposes. Defeating Jarasandha, protecting those who have taken shelter of you, and executing the Rajasuya Yajna. Thus, the Yadava's powerful enemy will be destroyed, and the imprisoned kings freed, and both deeds will glorify you. Paragraph. King Jarasandha can be killed only by Bhima, and since Jarasandha is very devoted to the Brahmanas, Bhima should disguise himself as a Brahmana, go to Jarasandha and beg a fight from him. Then, in your presence, Bhima will defeat the demon. Paragraph. Narada Muni, the Yadava elders, and Lord Krishna all praised Uddhava's plan, and Lord Krishna proceeded to mount his chariot and head for Indraprastha, followed by his devoted queens. Quite a scene. 16,108 queens, 10 sons, all their paraphernalia. Big scene. Soon, Lord Krishna arrived in that city. Hearing of the Lord's arrival, King Yudhisthira immediately came out of the city to greet him. Yudhisthira repeatedly embraced Lord Krishna, losing external consciousness in his ecstasy. Then, Bhimasena, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadev, and others also embraced or bowed down to him, as was appropriate. Paragraph. After Lord Krishna had properly greeted everyone, he entered the city. As a fanfare of many musical instruments played and reverential hymns were chanted, the women of the city scattered flowers down from the rooftops, remarking on the extreme good fortune of the Lord's queens. Paragraph. Sri Krishna entered the royal palace and offered respects to Queen Kunti Devi, who embraced her nephew, and Draupadi and Subhadra offered obeisances to the Lord. Kunti Devi then requested Draupadi to worship Lord Krishna's wives. Paragraph. The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna gratified King Yudhisthira by remaining there for some months. During this stay, he enjoyed strolling here and there. He would drive on chariots with Arjuna, followed by many warriors and soldiers. A few things. There was some, I mentioned the other day, one of the reasons why did Krishna stay for a few months instead of going quickly to kill Jarasandha? And part of the plan was that Yudhisthira, that Jarasandha should be killed outside the city. So there was this request of combat, and the idea was to have a fight outside the city so that when he was destroyed, immediately after Jarasandha was killed, this comes in, shortly, next chapter. Immediately after Jarasandha was killed, his son would be appointed as the king by Krishna. And then the wealth of Jarasandha's kingdom could be used for the Rajasuya Yajna, which needed wealth. But there was another reason. I mean, there's multiple reasons, but one other reason was, why should innocent people be killed? There's a description in, I think it's Garga Samhita, that before these two messengers came, one from the kings, and one from in Narada Muni, those two messengers requesting service from Krishna. Just before that, in the royal assembly, there was a discussion about killing Jarasandha amongst the Vrishnis and the Yadava soldiers. And the Yadava soldiers were into it. They wanted battle. So they were disappointed when Narada Muni came saying, come do this Rajasuya Yajna for King Yudhisthira. Because they wanted to go have battle with Jarasandha. But part of the reason for doing things this way was, why should innocent people? 17 times Krishna defeated his armies, but the armies were demoniac kings, and the citizens were just citizens. They weren't Kshatriya warriors, they were citizens. So they were innocent, so they shouldn't unnecessarily be killed if that could be avoided, and so it was avoided in a very clever way. That is, drawing Jarasandha outside the city and fighting him single. So there wouldn't be a big battle and innocent people killed, and the wealth then could be used instead. Because omniscient Krishna understood that the eldest son of Jarasandha was not like his father. He was not a demon. He was perfectly willing to be submissive to Krishna. Must have been pretty uncomfortable for his son to stay under his father, who was a demon. But that's another reason. There's lots of cultural points expressed. Krishna's bringing of his wives and as he's traveling, and how that occurred, and how people, as they were traveling, it was a big deal. So all along the way, people came to receive Krishna and his entourage. Big deal. And when they came to Indraprastha, the leading personality came out of the city, and then they received Krishna properly, and Krishna respected them properly, because it's Vaishnava etiquette. He went to see Kunti, and then he stayed for several months. Doesn't say how many, just says several. And it's during that several months' time, it's not in this chapter, I don't think, but that's when the Krishna and Arjuna went together in the Khandava forest, and as they were sitting, Mayadanava came and appealed. No. A disguised person came and appealed for help, and then he revealed he was a person. It was Agni, who had an illness from too much ghee poured into the sacrificial fire, and needed some of the herbs from this Khandava forest. And could they help? Because he needed to take the herbs to cure his indigestion, but every time he would try to burn the forest, Indra would send rain, because he had a friend in the forest. He didn't want to be destroyed. Anyway, that whole event took place during this Indraprastha time. And after that exchange with Mayadanava, the plan was for Mayadanava to build a royal assembly place in Indraprastha for Maharaj Yudhishthira. So Mayadanava went away to gather the ingredients because he knew where to get them. Krishna apparently went back to Dwarka for a while. When it was ready, then Krishna came. And the Rajasuya Yagya was performed at that big assembly place, and that's where Shishupal was killed, etc. Duryodhana came, and that's where Duryodhana fell into the lake when it looked like water because Mayadanava. So all of that was prior to the Rajasuya Yagya. Which was also prior to subsequent to the killing of Jarasandha. So it's like there's a lot of history, a lot of interesting details. So back to verse 1 of Canto 10, Chapter 71. Shukadeva Goswami is narrating. Having thus heard the statements of Devarshi Narada and understanding the opinions of both the assembly and Lord Krishna, the great-minded Uddhava began to speak. So the last, Krishna turned to Uddhava, what should I do? As if he didn't know. But he knew that Uddhava knew, and Uddhava knew that he knew, and Uddhava knew Krishna's mind, so he spoke according to Krishna's mind. But, it's the loving service when doing what he did and speaking the way he spoke. Text 2, Sri Uddhava said, O Lord, as the sage advised, that's Narada, you should help your cousin, that's Yudhishthira, fulfill his plan for performing the Rajasuya sacrifice. And you should also protect the kings who are begging for your shelter. Purport, Devarshi Narada wanted Lord Krishna to go to Indraprastha and help his cousin Yudhishthira perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. At the same time, the members of the royal assembly strongly desire that he defeat Jarasandha and rescue the kings he was holding prisoner. The great-minded Uddhava could understand that Lord Krishna desired to do both things, and thus he intelligently advised how both these purposes could be simultaneously accomplished. Text 3. Only one who has conquered all opponents in every direction can perform the Rajasuya sacrifice, O Almighty One. Thus, in my opinion, conquering Jarasandha will serve both purposes. So the assembly were very happy because they wanted to destroy Jarasandha, but he has a plan of how to do it, or why to do it the way that it should be done. Sri Uddhava here explained purport. Sri Uddhava here explains that only one who has conquered all directions is entitled to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. Therefore, Lord Krishna should immediately accept the invitation to participate in the sacrifice, but then he should arrange to kill Jarasandha as necessary prerequisite. In this way, the king's request for protection would be fulfilled automatically if the Lord would thus adhere to the single policy, namely, seeing that the Rajasuya sacrifice was performed properly, all purposes would be fulfilled. Paragraph. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, one of Lord Krishna's qualities is chatura, clever, which means that he can perform various types of work at the same time. Chatura. Clever. Thus, the Lord could certainly have solved the dilemma of how to simultaneously satisfy King Yudhishthira's desire to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice and the imprisoned king's desire for freedom. But Krishna wanted to give his dear devotee Uddhava the credit for the solution, and thus he pretended to be perplexed. Text 4. By this decision, there will be great gain for us, and you will save the kings. Thus, Govinda, you will be glorified. Text 5. The invincible King Jarasandha is as strong as 10,000 elephants. Indeed, other powerful warriors cannot defeat him. Only Bhima is equal to him in strength. Purport. Sridhar Swami explains that the Yadavas were extremely eager to kill Jarasandha, and thus, to caution them, Sri Uddhava spoke this verse. Jarasandha's death could come only at the hand of Bhima. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur adds that Uddhava had previously deduced this, listen to this, from the Jyoti Raga and other astrological scriptures he had learned from his teacher, Brihaspati. Did you know that? First of all, Uddhava had a guru. Brihaspati was his guru. Well, who's Brihaspati? He's the priest of the demigods. So how did Uddhava become the disciple of Brihaspati? And I don't have the answer to that. Anybody have the answer to that? I'll have to look it up. Uddhava as the disciple of Brihaspati. So from Brihaspati, one of the teachings of Brihaspati is Jyotish, and he already understood from Jyotish that that the method of killing Jarasandha was not something ordinary, but something extraordinary. Text 6, he will be defeated in a match of single chariots, not when he is with his 100 military divisions. Now, Jarasandha is so devoted to Brahminical culture that he never refuses requests from Brahmanas. So this is another reason, there's several reasons, this is another reason why to not have him with his military troops. By the advice of Uddhava, he can't be defeated that way. And how does he know? From Jyotisha he knows. Purport, it might be argued that since only Bhima could equal Jarasandha in personal strength, Jarasandha would be more powerful when supported by his huge army. Therefore, Uddhava here recommends single combat. But how could Jarasandha be persuaded to give up the support of his powerful army? Here Uddhava gives the clue. Jarasandha will never refuse a request from Brahmanas since he is devoted to Brahminical culture, even though a demon. Because he understood there is strength that comes from that, and he used the strength for demoniac purposes, or duskriti. Bhima should go to him disguised as a Brahmana and beg charity. Thus, he, Bhima, will obtain single combat with Jarasandha, and in your presence, Bhima will no doubt kill him. So part of the plan is what Krishna's planned. Krishna was going to be by his side. So that meant indirectly Krishna has to go. If you're going to go disguised as a Brahmana, then Krishna has to go disguised as a Brahmana, because otherwise Krishna comes dressed like Krishna, and here's a Brahmana, what's going to happen? he'll deduce what's going on. The idea is that Bhima should beg as charity a one-to-one fight with Jarasandha, text 8. Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva act only as your instruments in cosmic creation and annihilation, which are ultimately done by you, the Supreme Lord, in your invisible aspect of time. Nice philosophical point. The indication is, as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva do what they do, as agents of you, although you're the one that's doing it, Bhima will be the agent, although you're doing it. That's the inference. Uddhava here explains that in fact Lord Krishna himself will cause the death of Jarasandha, and Bhima will merely be the instrument. The Supreme Lord, through his invisible potency of time, creates and annihilates the entire cosmic situation, whereas great demons, such as great demigods, such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, are merely the instruments of the Lord's will. Therefore, Bhima will have no difficulty in acting as the Lord's instrument to kill the powerful Jarasandha. In this way, by the Lord's arrangement, his devotee Bhima will be glorified. Will have no difficulty, but he had difficulty. After 27 days of fighting, he submitted to Krishna. It's not within my power to kill him. So it's not with no difficulty, but it's with Krishna's cunningness. You go back, because I like this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu term. Chatura, clever. He can perform various types of work at the same time. It's involved, a little complicated. At the same time, Krishna's engaging many people to do many things, and he's enjoying their being instruments of him, and fulfilling his purpose through them, destroying Jarasandha, liberating the kings, conducting the Rajasuya. All of this, with love and with Krishna's Leela, things don't move in a straight line. That's said by Vaishnava poets, that as a snake wants to move from point A to point B, it doesn't move in a straight line. It still is going from point A to point B, but it moves back and forth and back and forth. So similarly, Krishna's pastimes are very clever. Chatura. It looks like this, and it's at the same time it's that, at the same time it's something else. And it's not easy to understand. It's difficult to understand. We had this nice discussion about Sanatana Goswami and his wet itches. And Haridas Thakur, who intimately knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, said, "We don't understand your plan. What to speak of how you're carrying out your plan, unless you tell us." So here it's our acharyas are telling us, and Uddhava to some degree is also telling us. So those who are intimately associated with Krishna, they can tell us things that we can't understand. So not understanding some things, that's quite okay. And we hear anyways, because we have faith that it's purifying. And sure enough, it is purifying, which makes us a little bit more eligible to understand that which we previously couldn't understand. Same point as, the last couple of Bhagavad Gita classes. Bhakti is independent and knowledge and detachment are dependent. Through the medium of bhakti, one can understand things that one otherwise cannot understand, even if they're explained. It remains a mystery. Or behold my mystic opulence. So he's saying, behold my mystic opulence to those who are qualified to behold his mystic opulence. Krishna's pastimes are really wonderful. And they're accessible to devotees, and to others, even they're explained, they're not accessible. That's pretty. It's a good system. It's confidential. People that don't have the password can't get in there. And although it's, the information is right on the front page, they can't enter into the mystery. So many things. So most mysterious of all is Krishna's Vraja Leela. Krishna's doing anything is mysterious. Creation is mysterious. Everything is mysterious. His pastimes, in this case, pastimes in Dwarka, mysterious. But most mysterious is Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So let's see if there's some discussion. Right next to you over here.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you for this reading the, while reading the purpose, I was really enjoying, as you mentioned, that the mysteries of Krishna's plan. So I was just observing this point, which was in the purport, said about Jarasandh, who is devoted to Brahmanical, the Brahmanas.
Yeah.
So with that, he had like a good quality, even
is a
though
good
he's
quality.
demonic.
It is a good quality. But what was the purpose behind it? Get punya for bad purposes.
Okay.
Duskriti. Kriti for duskriti purposes.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Thank you, Maharaj. So, and maybe this, what I was thinking, my follow-up question is kind of a different, or I don't know, but I just want to ask you that. So it looks like that one good quality he had, for the whatever the reason you said, that was used to kill him.
I'm listening.
So I was just, if I see in the surface level, as you said,
was not exactly used to kill him. It was used to draw him out of the city.
Yeah, but the purpose behind is to...
That's okay. That's okay.
So it looks like, with that one good quality he had, it was used against him.
No, it wasn't used against him.
Okay.
It was used to benefit the citizens and to enhance the Rajasuya Yajna. It was used for other purposes, not used against him. He could have been destroyed. Just effortlessly, he could have been destroyed.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Just because we just did this for so long, Sanatana Goswami's wet itches. It was Lord Chaitanya's plan that he drank water from bad place. So Krishna could have killed Jarasandha without lifting a pinky. So it wasn't used against him. It was just part of a Leela that enabled many other things to happen by one thing.
Yeah, it's a mystery, as you mentioned.
It's just clever.
Yeah.
We discussed. Chatur, he's clever. Now, Uddhava is saying A and B. He's so powerful, no one but Bhima can defeat him. And B, in the presence of all of his 100 divisions of soldiers, because we heard he, brought so many phalanxes of soldiers, and now is saying he had 100 of them. He could not be defeated. Now, that's by material calculation, because he can be defeated by Krishna's blink. He's defeated. But next, anything else?
No,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you.
Anyone?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. In previous class, in previous chapter we heard that Yadavas wanted to fight and they did not like to agree with what Narad Muni has to say to go to Hastinapur.
Speak slower and clear. The Yadavas wanted to fight, but
Narad wanted Krishna to go to Hastinapur. So
Indraprastha, not
yeah,
Hastinapur. Indraprastha.
right, yeah. So my question is that Uddhava understands Krishna's mind. Why not the Yadavas, being children of Krishna?
Well, Narada understood Krishna's mind also.
Right.
So where does intelligence come from?
From Krishna. So my question is leading to
Why? So if Krishna doesn't give the intelligence to the Yadava soldiers, they're not going to have it. But when Uddhava spoke, they went, yeah, that's good. Because the killing of Jarasandha would be accomplished. But the way to accomplish the killing of Jarasandha was not with all of his armies. It was said right in the purport. When they heard it, that they became convinced. So they accepted the intelligence that came from Uddhava, and that was Krishna's arrangement that they didn't have that intelligence themselves. To honor Uddhava and have them look up to Uddhava, which is the right thing for them to do. That's not to say they're not pure devotees, but Krishna may not give them the same intelligence that he gives another devotee besides them. What to speak of us? It's Krishna's prerogative.
another point I was thinking was Krishna's children, like they are the children of most powerful
Speak into the microphone. Krishna's children are most powerful.
personality.
They're as
And-
powerful as he is. It is said many times. Pradumna, Aniruddha, Samba, etc. They were as powerful as Krishna. That's pretty powerful. I mean, not 10%, but as powerful as Krishna. So
later on, Krishna's plan to destroy the Yadukula, I mean, it was Leela, but was that because of their, being proud of being, big persons? And
you're saying the Prabhas event?
Yeah.
Is the reason for the Prabhas event that they were proud? And
It-
Krishna was slapping them?
Yeah, is
That's your
because-
question?
Yeah, was there pride in them? Like,
The understanding I've heard, there may be more than one understandings, is Krishna knew two things. Krishna knew that in future generations, the descendants of these relatives of his would also be very powerful and become proud. So he wanted to remove them, so that problem in the future would be eliminated. The second reason is Many of them are his eternal associates. Others were demigods who had taken birth to assist in his pastimes, and Krishna was making arrangement for them to return, because soon his pastimes would be concluded. Knowing that his pastime would be concluded, he was sending them back to the places they came from to assist him in his pastimes. Anything else? Okay, Prabhupada ki